For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sergeant Brian Zimmer, and today we're here to dedicate this facility to Mr. Hogan. Thank you. For you who don't know, my name is Corporal Marsh. We started this program building back in 2008. It's a process, well worth the wait though. Everything done here has been done by donations, and I have a long list of people who helped us. And when the mayor came to me and said he wanted to donate to Mr. Hogan, I've known Mr. Hogan since I've been able to walk. He was my baseball coach, my football coach, a tough one. He couldn't do anything wrong. Couldn't do anything right. Anything he did, he let you know it. But he was a great role model. Then he became my boss for the Gloucester County Sheriff's Department, which made it even worse, because he had full just to walk up behind me and smack me in the back of the head any chance he had to, because he knew my parents well. But there's no one else in this township I would not like to have donated to than Mr. Hogan. I respect you with everything.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. This day's been long overdue. It's well worth it, as Corporal Marsh said. Today's a dedication to Jim Hogan. He's the first chief of Franklin Township. He established what it is today. And the officers here today are following in his footsteps, moving it forward, making Franklin safer in a better way than it is. He started his career in law enforcement from the state of New Jersey, worked his way up, became the chief of police here, also the sheriff, and now he's our county clerk. I respect Jim highly. I look up to him. He's like my mentor. Even though I am in law enforcement, I still ask Jim questions because of all his knowledge and experience. At this time, I'd like to bring Jim up to touch on his little background.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the mayor because when he approached me and said he'd like to name the building after me, my first question was, how do the guys feel about it? And he said they were on board because if the K-9 guys, the unit, was not on board for this, I wouldn't have considered accepting. So I really thank the K-9 unit. As Mike said, I've been following him around, making sure he gets the pension, and he's just a good kid as far as couldn't hit though. So I'm proud of him today too. I'm going to limit this to K-9 and this police department, not anything else about my career, but there's people I have to thank. Starting off with my family, my wife Dot, my daughter Lynn, my son Stephen, who's a detective for the prosecutor's office, spent 11 years on the street at the Bay Authority, or not the Bay Authority, the Port Authority, and was in their Marine unit for a while. And I'm very proud of him and what he's doing in a specialized unit up there. And my son Kevin, he was a member of the Franklinville Fire Company. And we still hear him slamming doors as he goes out at night. And I worry about that. I also have a good friend here, Mike Andres. Known him since we were 14 at Gloucester Catholic. He's a member of the Rolling Badges. He's Sergeant Mantua, Harrison Township Police. And anything he says between the age of 14 to 45 is a lie. Okay? Anything he says about me. I wish he would get amnesia from that age, and I'd feel a lot better in life. You know, I had no thought of going into politics as I was sitting in that room as chief of police when I got a call about an invasion of about 5 people, who wanted me to run for sheriff. This is what I wanted. This is where I wanted to stay. And one of those guys was Joe Hoffman, who had a saying from the outhouse, because he had no plumbing in Franklin Township, to the courthouse. Well, I'm going to take Joe's statement that he said often. He said he was going to write a book from the outhouse to the courthouse. Right now, I'll modify and add a chapter to Joe's book because this is the courthouse to the doghouse. And now I know I have a place to go if things don't go good at home. So, and it's air conditioned. Here's the value of K-9. This is what I learned when I did something similar, but not as on the scale of this, when we worked through an entire summer getting the town to donate and build a K-9 facility. I was 27 years old when the unit was handed to me when my partner got almost killed. I showed the mayor the pictures the other day of the patrol car. In those days, we didn't have roll bars, but we had a welded cage, and the car folded on him all the way to the roll bar and stopped. So I became the unit's chief, and we built a similar facility, and that's the respect I have. But here's the key. Both instances, the community was behind it. K-9 can be one of the best ways to get community support for your police department. There is no doubt in my mind. It's a skill that I learned that propelled me into administration. After a 5-year stop in the city of Camden with a brand new police department, a brand new concept in law enforcement, I once again had people approach me to come down here, including the state of New Jersey's 8th Attorney General, to take on this police department because not the one we're looking at, but that building, there was something like 14 or 15 troopers. And they were leaving April of '76. The Attorney General assured me they were leaving. And they said that they needed someone to develop the police department. So it went from 12, 14 troopers, whatever it was, and 7 guys up the road to me and 1 new guy, 9 people to police this town. But the skills I learned in K-9, I applied to community relations in this town. If a the town wants to work with you, there is no doubt in my mind, because I was told coming down here that the people didn't like the police. People didn't like the police department. A sergeant in that building told me, he says, "You're out of your mind coming down here and taking a $6,000 pay cut." I had 3 little kids. He says, "You're out of your mind. Mike, you worked with his son, who is now a judge in Gloucester County." But I believe that people will get behind the police department if the police department takes the time and is innovative and reaches out to the people. The people didn't hate this police department. The police department just wasn't communicating. And once we started that, I see the Sentinels here. They had a pretty new editor when I came to town. Well, in about a year or 2, he took, it might have been 3. One of the first things he said to me, he says, "Why don't you write Chief's Corner?" And Jim Kincaid, who we ended up being very good friends with, said it ended up being the most read part of the newspaper. The skill that I learned in K-9, converted it to the management of this police department, and it developed a tremendous reputation. Our problem was keeping some of the quality people we had. And back to that man from Harrison Township, who's the sergeant's son, who's now a judge. We almost hired him. He was that good. But we hired Lee Gonzalez instead. I was thinking about that this morning. So, why didn't I have a facility like this when I was chief? I had 13 years to do it. Because I knew what it took to get it done. You heard Corporal Marsh say 2008. And that's 6 years, 7 years to get it done. And they couldn't have got it done without the community. It's a tremendous undertaking. A, to get it done. B, to get to equip it properly. And I knew that we couldn't equip it properly. We couldn't get enough cars. We couldn't get the proper cars for dogs. Because K-9 has evolved from the 60s, when I was involved, has evolved tremendously to today. It's not going to surprise me too long if we have to put cameras on the dogs. It will not surprise me a minute if we. So there's much more scrutiny, much more accountability, and much more training, and the equipment is so much better than it was when I was in the unit. And I could see what needed to be done to do it right. I'm here to tell you, Franklin Township did it right. This is some facility. So I say to you all, God bless these guys that are on the street, the K-9. God bless all cops that are on the street. The job has gotten tremendously tougher when you see what's going on in society. And I understand it for one reason. When I was on the street, the country was being torn apart. Vietnam War, the movement, everybody questioning everything, riots in the cities, of which I was commander in 2 districts for 2 riots. People thought the country was coming apart. So did we on the street. So they have a tough job. The police have to remember that the community will stand by them if you reach out and work with them. So God bless them all.